Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to talk about DanMachi, episode 8 for season 3. Woo! Okay, so I got my review here, but let's go through my top moments. I'm gonna just list them off real quick. So here are my top moments. Number 1, the Dick's kill. Like this was really cool in the novel. Because it was a cool irregular kill. Belle wasn't the one that did it. And it was instead Asterius. It was just really neat, and it really established Asterius' power, even though Dix was kind of, well, he was already on his way out, but it was just legitimately, it was so cool to see it in the novel, and seeing it in the anime, of course, also top moment. Next moment, Belle's moment with everyone watching him and him playing the part of a terrible adventurer. This was another moment that really just set the stakes. It really just built the atmosphere. When you have everyone just staring down at him, I do think there was a few reused shots in it, but when you have everyone staring down at him, it's a neat visual, because it just reminds you like the world's eyes are on him right now. Next up, Fels Golem and its subsequent takedown. This was just a good moment because of how hilarious it was, and it was just, again, it really, when Fels says that the Loki Familia are the real monsters here, that was also a little bit of a framing device of saying like, well, yeah, they're the antagonists now, but it's like, yes, these people are very unreasonable. In my next top moment, Asterius the Minotaur arrived. This was just a powerful scene. It looked cool, and I'm very happy that Asterius was actually able to do a lot against the Loki Familia. My next top moment, Freya's guy remembering the Minotaur, sort of. He kind of backtracks, but in the novel, this was a really good moment because it's the first little bit where it builds up a kind of doubt. This guy is looking at that Minotaur, and he's saying it's not possible, but this has been an arc about reestablishing what is possible. So this is just, it's really good that they kept that scene in, because that scene is important for general build-up. Next top moment, Hermes Familia, they come in with the support, and they let the Xenos get away. So this was just really interesting, again, in the novel, because there were a lot of moving parts, and the anime, I'm going to talk about this at the end, but there were a lot of moving parts. It was just interesting to see covert action against different factions. It's really interesting to think that the Loki Familia does not have full information. They don't really know what's going on here, and it kind of opens the door of, if Finn figures out that there is some kind of weird undercurrent to all of this, it's the question of, will Finn act differently? Because Finn is one of those characters that would be the one that could maybe figure out that something's gone amiss. My next top moment, Weena getting killed. This was pretty brutal. It was pretty brutal to see that they had such a plan there. They shocked her, and then we had the guy coming down for one more kill. This is another moment that I think got better build up in the novel. My next top moment, Gross killing the killer. That's just a good moment. After that, Fels resurrecting Weena with the Xenos watching. I think this is just a powerful moment. I like the little backtrack that what's happening in it. Yeah, no, I personally loved it, and I love just how everyone else saw that scene and was like, whoa, shit. Next top moment, the Xenos, they retreated into the sewers, but this was a critical thing. They do not have everyone. This moment is specifically there just to establish or give an idea of what we're going to be dealing with in the next episode. And then my final top moment was Aina confronting Belle, the slap, and her disbelief. This was a really powerful moment because when Aina is crying, you know, when you look at the anime, your first indication might be thinking like, well, she doesn't believe Belle. That's why she's crying. But I would say, like, just seeing that, Aina is crying because Belle doesn't want to tell her. That's, I think, the bigger feeling in there. She's not crying just because of the lie. She's crying because it's information that she can't know, and she legitimately cares about the kid. Well, she legitimately has feelings for the boy, and that kind of complicates the matter. Anyway, I went through my top moments there really quickly, and now let's just go into the review portion. I hope that was fun for you. As we go into the review portion, I will like reference these top moments as it comes up, but I want to start off by saying, like, you know, I had a conversation with a friend of the channel and a very lovely commenter, XSpeed, and he was talking about what he didn't enjoy in the episode, and what he focused on was specifically Weena's resurrection. And his main gripe was, well, you know, this kind of invalidates the entire struggle that we had before that. And I think that is legitimately a fair point. The reason it's a fair point is because this is something that DanMachi does, and it's done it last season and it's doing it this season. And what I want to say there is that this is a bigger conversation about what you as a viewer or reader ultimately you pay to gain entry into a series, or, you know, and in this case we can talk about the suspension of disbelief. In this episode, we have Fels resurrect Rina, and he mentions that this is the first time that he ever got that spell to work. He mentions 800 years. And now, from my perspective, how do I feel about the resurrection spell? Well, I think it's actually fair game. Fels he already has immortal life. In a sick, twisted joke, he got immortal life. He was looking for the Philosopher's Stone. He was already a character linked to life and death. Him having a spell that gets to resurrect someone, him not being able to pull it off in 800 years, really just tells me that it has maybe unique conditions that require it, or that need to be at play before he can use it. It's that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if I don't remember if the novel gave more details about it, because maybe it did and it justifies a little bit more, because in the novel I really didn't care too much about the resurrection. Here it comes out of nowhere, really, and this leads me to my a bigger thought, in that for all my top moments, I think I enjoyed the novel significantly more. And it's again that issue where I'm pretty sure that DanMachi novel builds up the situations much better. And as I was looking at where these guys were running, it's like, this is Daedalus Street, and it's like, did the anime actually give us build up on Daedalus Street, or did it just drop us in there and just have us run around? It's like, okay, so like the big thing that's being lost is build up. And the reason it makes sense that build-up is being lost is because DanMachi splits its narration between Belle's perspective and an oh Jesus, I can never say this right, but a third person narrator. The omni variety. I can't say the last part. My Spanish tongue gets mixed up. Anyway, point is, I think, and I don't recall correctly because I haven't started rereading this part of the novels yet, but I think my issues are definitely stemming from the fact that the third person narrator is removed, and therefore a lot of extra context is being removed from the episodes. But again, that's me on faulty memory. Last time I read these novels was like last year, after the last season ended, so just keep that in mind. Anyway, there's a possibility that might be like impacting the whole thing with Fels, because again, a novel goes by much slower than an anime, so there's more time for you to get ideas into your head. But going back to the thing with Fels, because this is a separate issue altogether, we're talking about the cost of coming into the series. I think ultimately, when you're looking at DanMachi, it will do things that in some way invalidate the subject matter that came before it, or it will make it feel cheap. And when I think about a good comparison to this, and when I think about a metaphor to like try and explain this idea, I think it's pretty simply, there are people who value the journey more than the end result, and there's people that value the end result more than the journey. It's ultimately that kind of dichotomy. If you value the journey more than the end result, I think it's more likely that you are the type of reader or viewer that will enjoy Fairy Tail. Because Fairy Tail is a story that's very much about the journey in sacrifice of the end result. And what I'm referring to there is that Hiro Mashima is very good at creating very emotional situations. I think a good reason that people don't like Fairy Tail, they have such a negative reaction to Fairy Tail, is that Fairy Tail made them legitimately have a reaction. Like, say a really prominent character had a really powerful send-off, and then 5 chapters later that character just comes back in one panel because of a hand wave magic or something like that. What you have there is, like, if you say that Fairy Tail has a good handle on riling up emotions, you get those emotions riled up, and then you buy into this idea that something drastic has happened, and then that what you bought into is taken away. When you're a person that values the end result more, that is a really big betrayal, and you can see it here. If we're talking about DanMachi, that lends itself to DanMachi really well when we're talking about that final resurrection scene there, because Belle went through that entire struggle, and then he gets to bring Wine back. Okay, great, excellent. He gets to Bring Wine back. What did we do everything else here for? What that is ultimately to say is that if you're the person that likes the end result, moments like in Fairy Tail and moments like here in DanMachi, maybe they feel like a betrayal, maybe they feel like a waste. For me personally, I'm a person that enjoys the journey. I don't really care too much about end results. Like, honestly, for me, these parts in the novel really made me feel something. I got really sad. I'm the kind of person that wishes that characters get resurrected, because honestly, it's a story. I'd rather all my stories be idealistic because you know, as much as I like tragedies because it's a talking point, I do want happy endings for almost every story I read, and I would love for every anime character to be somehow miraculously resurrected at the end, because I just want to have a happy life, right? And that's ultimately my perspective. When I'm coming into here, what the DanMachi author is doing is that he's hoping that people are going to want Wine to get saved somehow. I think that's ultimately what he's playing up to. He's playing up to people who are okay going along with the journey and, you know, breathing that sigh of relief for when Wine gets resurrected. But yeah, no, like really in the scheme of DanMachi, the resurrection doesn't matter to me. I think in a world where you have gods hanging around, where you have a girl that can manipulate level ups, and when you have characters creating powers out of thin air just to represent their potentials, I don't think giving the guy that searched for a way to have eternal life a resurrect spell, I don't think that is too much of a big deal, especially when the guy's been around for so long. But again, that's because for me, I was rooting for Wine to come back to life, and so, you know, it is an interesting point. Now, just to talk again, because this is worthwhile, there is another example, and it was during Haruhime's arc. And if you guys were here with me last year, you know how I feel about this, but it's pretty much Haruhime. She was this character that was premised on the idea that she is a prostitute. She is a tainted woman. The majority of the novel spends their time with Belle anguishing over the fact that Haruhime is a prostitute. They spend so much time saying that things are different in this part of the town. They spend so much time saying that this is dark, that things don't work the normal way in the red light district, right? You even have a giant toad woman going around raping men to the point that they are broken beyond but repair, whatever the rhetoric was, right? You have all of that, and then at the end of the novel, you just tell Belle, like, hey, Haruhime, she never did anything. She never got any action. She never serviced any customers. She would always fall asleep out of nerves before it went too far. And it's like, you spent all that time saying that this was a dark world. You spent all that time making Belle anguish over this. And yet, you go in with that idealistic response. The men that Haruhime was seeing were drunk. Why would these men not take advantage of her when she's asleep? Right? If like that's the atmosphere that you spent the entire book creating, and you're giving us that idealistic response. Now, mind you, I have much more problems with that than this, because that other one is an issue with the novel. This is just a carry on of the general style that we can quantify in different ways. That's ultimately what I'm trying to say. But point is, that one at its root is also the same problem of you spend so much time dealing with a particular problem, and then you have it invalidated at the end. For this Xeno's problem, like the Wine going out there was a relatively short-term problem, and I'm fully okay with it. But I understand that some might not be. So that's really my first question to you guys. Like, how do you feel about the Resurrect? Were you at a point that you were rooting, that you wanted some way for Wine to be alive? Or did you feel cheated? Because that's ultimately what the challenge becomes. I think if you were to sit down and you were to write out a story structure like this, at the end of the day, the end result that you're aiming for is for Wine to be alive. But stories dictate that you need to have some conflict, right? At that point, your goal becomes, I need to write this to the degree that my fans are going to be like, yo, somehow, please save this poor girl. Now, here's where the problem lies. The anime does not have the advantage that the author has, because the author will have many pages to really get Wine into the reader's mind. But if you come into the anime and the anime, goes a little bit too fast and doesn't focus on it enough for the majority of viewers, you will have a challenge there. Because I do think legitimately, if we're talking about making that moment more palpable, if the goal is I need to make sure my readers are rooting for this solution, having an anime that goes a little bit faster will be detrimental to getting that kind of reaction. I think that is fair to say here. Again, Fels and the way he comes in here, I think could have been, I think more build up could have been good. And again, I'm pretty sure Like, this did not feel as heavy as it did in the novel. So I'm pretty sure, like, but this is how I feel about almost all DanMachi episodes. I feel all DanMachi episodes, they lose the build up because the author, he goes around in circles, or sorry, they go, I don't know who the author is. They go around in circles so many times that so many things feel heavier. At least that's my feel whenever I'm reading the novels. But yeah, that's the big point here about the Resurrect. Now, at the end of the episode, we also do see that the creatures, they're hanging out in the bottom. Not all of them are together again. That is going to be important, and you can see that not all of them are together again. One last thing that I thought was really interesting is in the after credit scene is where Belle is still dealing with this idea of being a hypocrite. Now, mind you, I don't think the anime did a good job with the hypocrite rhetoric. I think this requires more extrapolation, just to get it into viewers' heads a little bit, because this is a relatively nuanced thing to understand here. I think it might also be that I'm just not remembering things correctly, but I like that in the episode you essentially have Hermes, who is calling Belle a fool in the negative, and you have Fels, who is calling Belle a fool in the positive. Like, Fels is telling Belle to continue being a fool, whereas Hermes is having a fundamental disagreement with Belle's choices. I do think that's very interesting that you have a god who's lived for a very long time, and then you have Fels, who is a fool, a human, but he's telling Belle something, I think, profound, because he also has the advantage of age. I do like the dichotomy between those two characters. And, you know, as a human, I am biased towards Fels. Fels has a much more different perspective of this than Hermes would ever have. And so it is really interesting to see just the turnaround on the two fool variations here. Now, ultimately, I think it was a really fast-paced episode of DanMachi. I feel like a lot of things could have gotten more build-up this time around. But what they did build up, I'm pretty happy for. What I'm looking at now are going to be the final 4 episodes, because that's going to be the final novel in this saga. And then next season, when we come back next season, we're coming back with Ryu's storyline, or Liu's. I don't know what they call her in the anime, but Liu, Lyu, the elf girl. We're coming back with a storyline that touches on her, so that'll be pretty cool for next season. And that's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler because it's the first thing that's going to come up in the PVs, because that's how they promote all these kind of things. Don't worry, just be excited. People apparently really like her. Apparently she's like the most popular female in DanMachi. So yeah, be excited for that. But right now we're gonna finish up the saga that was started in the previous volume of again, I think it's 9, 10, 11 or 10, 11, 12, one of the two sets. Anyway, everyone, let me know what you thought of the episode. I do want to know how you feel about it. Are you the kind of person that values the journey over the end, or do you value the end result over the journey? Again, for me, I like shows that make me feel. DanMachi makes me feel, and so by that metric, I'm pretty happy with this. But it is worth just pointing out again that this is a habit that the writer has. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.